the Montebello Islands. We are anchored in Chianti Bay, 40 nautical miles off the Western Australia mainland. While Declan gets to grips with the new challenge of kiteboarding on a foiling board, courtesy of Sailing Zatara, the rest of us have been enjoying the many other activities these islands have to offer. What is it?
Foraging. It's beans. We're having baked beans for dinner.
What kind of bean? What colour was the pod?
Well, it was it's very
Is it yellowish?
yellow green. Well, it's yellow brown. And these are the beans.
And how do you know they're not poisonous?
I don't. You could get me to eat them, I suppose, and find out.
I tell you what, yeah. Why don't we do that?
I don't.
You eat them.
Let's do that.
You eat them, and if you're still living the next day,
Yeah.
in fact, we'll give it a few days.
Give it a few days.
We'll all eat them.
Well, we know the story.
Yeah, and we know a story where people died because they didn't eat them. They didn't
But we don't
prepare
even
them.
know if these are the same beans.
Hmm.
These might be good ones.
So there do appear to be quite a few of these beans. You know, if you were super starving, what are the ramifications?
Well, you could use them if you cook them properly. It could mean you'll live another day. If you cook them badly, you might die the next day.
So,
So
how do you cook them?
It's a lot at stake.
How do you cook them?
Well, you put them in the sand for 2 to 3 hot sand for 2 to 3 days, and then what was it? 2 days boiling them?
2 days of water.
2 days sitting in water,
And then
boil them.
So this is a memoir written by someone in the 1600s, and Rob wants to take their recipe, written by their relative, and try the beans. Now when they did it, they didn't cook them properly, and they all got stomach upsets, and they were on kind of starving, and they did die. So they went from 10 people to 2 people after eating the beans. So,
And not eating much.
there's plenty more food on the boat, I say.
Thunder on the ground, a mighty wall of sound. We rise up, we go out as one. Together we are strong. We rise up.
That was possibly our last run up the hill. There's not many places to run this little beach. Up the hill, up and
So
down.
that's where we run.
been
Also
good.
much better at low tide when the coral showing, but we've been making do with what we've got. The boys
Yeah.
have craved the skate parks all the way up the western coast. They've gone to all the skate parks in all the towns. And here,
No skate parks here.
no skate parks. But
So?
that hasn't stopped them. Ivan and Ben from Zatara have at low tide discovered that there's quite a good, well, one little area of limestone or coral, I don't know what it is, that they can skate on, and they've made the most of that.
3 times in a row, that's called perfecting a trick.
We've been hunting and gathering. How did we do there,
With
Rob?
moderate success, I managed to spear a coral trout. It's a good fish. Coral trout. It attacked me. I fended myself. I thought, listen mate, that's not on. Went and got my special bits with a spear on it. It was a really bad shot. It was not a good shot. I got him there. Really, I was aiming for up here, and so it was very much alive. Unfortunately, when I brought it aboard, it made a heck of a commotion. So I was waiting for the sharks to come in.
And did they?
No. Well, I'd heard the news about how I'd treated it earlier. Look at that for a set of teeth.
Small but deadly.
Mm.
After filleting his catch, Rob took a scrap of flesh and fed it to the little herring hanging out under our boat.
I'm nibbling at my hand.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Rob may not have had a shark problem when he shot his fish, but now we were about to get a thrill when several sharks, including a large hammerhead, showed up, very interested in what was going on.
There's a hammerhead. There's a hammerhead.
Where's? Oh, there's a big hammerhead. Oh, he's biting on. He's attacking the steps.
Where is he?
He's over here, beside me. He's taking a good look at the boat. Hitting our steps. I know, he's huge, isn't he? He doesn't like the steps for some reason. Keeps hitting them. Most sharks are drawn to their prey by sensors that detect electrical activity in muscles, hence Rob's keenness to get the injured coral trout out of the water before it attracted unwanted attention. The shark's sensors are not triggered by dead bodies. However, the scent of a recently dead carcass is attractive and was the draw card here. Rob had tied the remains of the filleted fish to a bungee and was dangling it in the water. Nevertheless, the sharks were extremely cautious, circling back and forth for some time before the hammerhead plucked up the courage to take the prize. Is that what he came for?
Wow! See that? Oh man! Wow! That was amazing! That was amazing!
Did you get it?
Wow! Holy jingos! Gotta see that footage. He came up and, I mean, I couldn't see his mouth because his hammerhead was in the way, but I don't know if I got the GoPro in the water deep enough to see him actually grab the fish.
Yeah.
And they're just like dogs, aren't they? They're sort of scavenging for anything they can find.
Why do you think he kept hitting the steps though?
I don't know. I don't know what he thought the steps were. Strange, they hit the outboard engine too.
Yeah, a couple of times. Here he is, he's still there. There he is, right in front of you. Unfortunately for Mr. Hammerhead, he missed out on the juiciest bits of the coral trout. Those were consumed by Mr. Hamill, Mrs. Hamill and Master Declan Hamill. Ivan was missing in action that night because he doesn't like fish. It's a pity that Ivan doesn't like fish because he's really missing out. This is the best fish ever. Oh, you've got to go back. You've got to go back there. Get some more. Declan, you should do this.
Yeah, maybe I'll come tomorrow if you go.
And I so very nearly, very nearly, I got a lobster. I had it by its feelers. And I was like, I had two things in this hand, and I should have just dropped them. And I just...
What was in your other hand?
I had the GoPro and the lobster hook. And I pulled them out, and then I was like, now what do I do?
How deep was it?
Oh,
2 meters?
2 minutes? Yeah.
Nothing?
Yeah, you should have dropped it.
I should have dropped them.
Oh, the actual depth was probably 4.
Now I've learned from that, because then he tugged, and he tugged a bit, and I was trying to bring him up, and then he swam away. That's the closest I've got to catching a lobster. Although Rob and I failed miserably at catching our own lobster, we certainly gave it a good shot. Luckily, Keith from Sailing Zatara generously gave us one that he caught. A lovely big painted cray which fed the family the following evening. In general, we have been pleasantly surprised by the abundance of marine life in the waters around the Montebellos. Surprised because of the archipelago's troubled history thanks to the British military and their testing of nuclear bombs in this island paradise in the 1950s. It's hard to believe that the British let off not 1, not 2, but 3 bombs. The last one here, the biggest of the 3, and 2 over on the island over there. So close to the mainland. So close to the mainland. Although it was 70 years ago, I mean, there's really nothing to see here. You can't even tell
No.
that the bomb went off. I mean, they say it was on a tower. There's no big crater. Who knows? Unless that's the crater over there, but who knows? Yeah, but I just know. I mean, that was in the 1950s when they were testing it, but I know growing up in England in the 1980s, I was absolutely petrified that they were going to drop a bomb, that the Russians were going to drop a bomb on us.
Huge amount of fear, wasn't there?
Oh, I was so scared. I watched, I don't know, I was about 13 and I watched the film Threads, and you know, the 4-minute warning, and I used to think, well, if I'm at school and I'm 20 minutes from home, how the heck am I going to get home in that 4 minutes? Would I be able to ride my bicycle in 4 minutes? Because I knew I got to get back, got to get home. You know, I was in fear for my life because they told us, be scared.
Gosh.
Yeah, and now we're all scared of a virus. From one thing to the other. Let's always be scared. Keep the population scared.
In Europe and America, there's a growing feeling of hysteria, conditioned to respond to all the threats in the rhetorical speeches of the Soviets. Mr. Khrushchev said we will bury you. I don't subscribe to this point of view. It'd be such an ignorant thing to do if the Russians love their children too.
So this is the site of the second. The second bomb was over there. The first bomb was in the 40 meters off the shore on a boat that sank. And the interesting thing is that on the sign on the beach, it says radiation in this area, don't stay more than an hour. But there was only a month between the second bomb, which was May 1956, and the third bomb, which was June 1956. And if we're not supposed to stay here for more than an hour at a time, how did they set up that second bomb in the second, 1 month later, and not get radiation poisoning?
Well, because they told them it was okay.
A month after you've let off a nuclear bomb, you're putting off another one?
Yeah.
And it was the biggest one as well, so it would take 98 kilotons.
Versus the smaller 15.
The smaller one was 15 and the first one was 25 kilotons. Yeah. So, I mean, there would have been a huge amount of radiation if they're still saying, almost 70 years later, only stay an hour for fear of radiation poisoning. So, crazy. There's concrete there.
They probably said it's fine. We've got this. It's all fine.
You're fine. The wind was blowing the other way. You'll be fine.
Yeah. It does make you speculate a little bit, even though it's 70 years have passed. Is there some sort of remaining radioactive doodah that we're consuming from these fish? But I doubt very much that's an issue because the water's constantly flushing. It's flushing constantly in and out. So anyway, they say it's okay. Yeah. I haven't got two heads yet.
They say it's okay. They say only be here for an hour.
Yes, so our time's nearly up actually. We should keep moving. It's okay for the fish to be here for more than an hour though. Oops, what does that mean? Okay, don't eat the fish. As most of you know, I'm pretty gung-ho when it comes to sampling items of food. However, I have to say on this occasion, after a bit of research, reading up about the 1875 shipwreck and its survivors, or otherwise, I've come to the conclusion that these may not be the beans we're looking for, and as such I'm not prepared to put my body on the line in this experiment. On this occasion, kids, do not try this at home.
Yo,
Why we talk?
let's just dwell that I jumped off the second spreader on Zatara.
Okay.
I am the youngest person to do that on their boat. For now.
For now.
Hey!
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it's always done.
Yeah, I know, but
That's so cool.
Yeah, they need to improve the skate park at the Montebello, don't you think?
All the skate park over here. It's a couple decades old.
Rob's got a new friend.
Hello, you. You like some of this? Here you go. Come on up. Step right up.
Ooh, look at him. He's beautiful. What's your friend's name, Rob?
Bruce. Come on, Bruce.
Oh, he's lovely.
Isn't he? So the question remains, is there radiation on that side of the bay 200 metres away, maybe 300 metres away, and no radiation on this side of the bay? Is that to be believed? Really? To believe or not? That is the question. It's a beautiful sight, isn't it?
It's a beautiful sight. Who came here and went, I don't know, this is a great place.
Yeah, I'm
Drop
gonna
a couple of nuclear bombs.
Let's have some boys'
Some.
games.
If you enjoyed this episode, please comment, give us a thumbs up, and best of all, share it. It helps us heaps.
Come on, ain't it so bad?